Thank you for having me at the 2021 Geodesign Summit. My name is Petra Hurtado. I am the research director at the American Planning Association. And today I'm going to talk about trends and trend patterns and the future of planning. And last year at the Geodesign Summit, I was introducing APA's Foresight practice. And today I have some first findings from that work. So diving right into that, I want to start with maybe first explaining what APA Foresight is and what we're doing here. And so what is really important here is to understand this is about learning with the future. So that means we're not predicting the future, we want to learn with it as it approaches. And so what this is about is really understanding the things we can't control that will shape the operating environment and developing a plan to learn and prepare for whatever might be coming. What I'm going to present today are the findings from a specific project that was conducted in collaboration with the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. It's called Drivers of Change and the Future of Planning. And so what we did here, we looked at trends in different categories. So we looked at societal trends, technological trends, economic trends, environmental trends, and political trends. And we try to make sense of these trends and connect them to the planning profession, to the work that planners do, and to cities and communities. Now, we started out with a huge list of more than 100 trends, and then we narrowed them down to about 50 trends that are either existing trends that might result in disruption in the future, or new trends and potential new trends that will connect to planning eventually and might also result in disruption in the future. So there are some of the usual suspects, trends that planners usually work with, like demographics, emerging transportation systems, obviously autonomous vehicles and urban air mobility are big topics there, climate change. But then we also looked at some trends that might not look really connected to planning at the first look. Like, for example, artificial intelligence. And there's a lot to unpack in this topic and how it might impact the planning profession and our communities in the future. Now, obviously, with a list of over 50 trends, it's kind of difficult to make sense out of or to create conclusions for the future of planning. So what we did next was we tried to prioritize and rate all of these trends. So we looked first, how prepared are planners for these trends? Are planners already working on these? Are they aware of them? Are they starting to prepare already? Are there guidebooks and policy guides available? Or is this something that planners have not on their radars at all? And the other thing that we looked at was, what's the expected impact of the expected disruption? Is it going to impact the entire country or the entire world, even any community, or just specific communities, like, for example, only the big cities or only rural communities? Is every planner going to be affected by it, or just specific planners? So just really connecting it to where are we today in planning and how might this look like in the future. Now, obviously, the trends that are in the low preparedness, high impact quadrant are the ones where APA and the Lincoln Institute understood that these are the ones we need to work with. These are the ones that we need to start learning about, try to understand, try to make sense of, and start preparing for, creating guidance for planners so they are ready once these things happen. So I'm not going to dive very deep into this graph here. That's essentially the final rating of the 50-something trends. And there were some clear patterns that we discovered in there that tell us a lot about what we need to do to prepare planners for this future. And one clear pattern, for example, was that most of the trends in the low preparedness, high impact quadrant are really technological trends. So it seems like planners are not very well prepared for technologies related to smart cities, for artificial intelligence, also for some emerging transportation systems, all things that will have significant impacts on the communities planners make plans for. Um, I'm not going to dive deeper into this because I only have 8 minutes for my presentation, and I really want to get to some of the conclusions that we got out of this for the future of planning. So again, there were a bunch of different patterns, trend patterns that came out of this rating visual that we created, and those patterns will be published soon and will be published on the APA and the Lincoln websites. But I really want to focus on the conclusions here for this presentation. So what do we have here? So we do believe that the future of planning will have to deal more with future literacy, foresight, and the method of scenario planning. Obviously, the pace of change is accelerating, and we're dealing with more and more uncertainty. And to make sense of whatever might happen in the future, we need to engage more in strategic foresight for the communities that we're planning for. It's not enough anymore to just create a vision based on what's happening today and based on what was happening in the past. We need to create multiple plausible futures through scenario planning and start preparing for whatever might happen and might influence the operating environment. Related to that is also the need for more agility. Planning is not necessarily an agile process or an agile profession. We make long range plans, but we need to be able to adjust to whatever happens along the way. More agile methods in planning, trying to experiment more, and trying to use methods like design thinking, for example, where you have prototypes and experiments, pilot projects, but you have a constant connection with the community, collecting the feedback from the community, and based on that feedback, improving whatever does not work right. The third thing is, obviously, we've seen technology is a big thing, and planners definitely need to upskill. Planners need to understand the technologies that will be used in their communities. But we still need to know that we still need to focus on a people-centric planning approach. So it does not make sense to just implement technology for technology's sake. We need to plan for the people and the communities. The next thing is diverse teams. Obviously, when planners plan for diverse communities, we also need to have diverse teams that can understand, first of all, different cultures and different needs of different population groups and different priorities coming out of that. But also interdisciplinary approaches, and including more and more disciplines that are not the usual suspects that we need to collaborate with. Fact-based and inclusive. Obviously, we live in a world where fake news is a thing and it's dangerous. So it's more and more important to really use the facts to make planning decisions. But then we also need to be aware to not leave anyone out, and really make sure that we have inclusive planning approaches that are based on facts, but that include everyone in the community. And then last but not least, knowing now that we have to not just look at the past and the present, we have to really understand the future. There's a lot of systems connecting here. The same with global phenomena like climate change that have local impacts, and vice versa. Our local actions have impacts on global phenomena like climate change. All these different systems need to be thought together and can't be looked at separately. And so systems thinking as a way to look in all directions and include all the systems. Same with transportation planning needs to include land use planning and the other way around. And sometimes solutions are can be found in different systems than the system that we actually look at. And so doing more systems thinking in planning will also become more and more important. With that, I think I'm already over my time, but yeah, those are the first conclusions that we identified from our foresight practice and our trend analysis. And there will be more coming soon. We will start publishing some of these results soon, and stay tuned on the APA website. Thank you.